Well, Michael, it's all going down in Hollywood, isn't it?
More like Hollyweird.
Yeah, man, Hollyweird. The strikes are happening, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
All the strikes are going on. They're occurring. This giant rat, which I'm about to send you, which I love, was put outside Amazon Studios.
Oh wow, that's a pretty cool looking rat.
That's a fucking great looking rat, isn't it? Like with money bags and.
Yeah, it kind of. Yeah, I mean, let's just say that you could think that might be targeting a particular demographic who are very overrepresented in the entertainment business.
Well, I mean, maybe. The nose is pretty big, but
Yeah.
not too big for a rat.
No, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's a pretty properly proportioned rat nose.
Yeah, and of course, Barbenheimer. Will you survive Barbenheimer? Yes, because it's just a couple of movies that are a bit different. No, they are fairly different, releasing on the same day. Just like Mamma Mia and The Dark Knight, by the way, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was interesting, which I should have mentioned in our Dark Knight review. So yeah, Nolan has previous on this, and we know how good The Dark Knight was. But yeah, it seems to me like Hollywood and movies are like reaching like a climax almost, like an end point, like with the release of Barbie and Oppenheimer, and there's just going to be no other good movies for the rest of the year, and because of the strikes, maybe for the rest of eternity. I'm not sure.
True. Yeah. But the reality is that we've got plenty of other films to watch. It's kind of an opportunity to catch up, actually. So this time next year, we'll hopefully have watched every single film in the world because they're just not going to be able to make any more.
Yeah, maybe there will be, therefore, a return to, because actors are on strike. Well, what about the porno chic will come back? Because, porn actors aren't on strike.
Yeah, they don't have any reason to want to strike.
Yeah, exactly. They have a perfectly fine career. All of them.
Yes. Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host, Michael, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Luke. And this week we are celebrating the 50-year anniversary of the movie The Devil in Miss Jones. So Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about The Devil in Miss Jones?
Yes, Michael, we are reviewing The Devil in Miss Jones. Of course, last year we reviewed the very successful Deep Throat, which is, of course, another pornographic film. And so, yeah, we are doing the sequel, even though it, of course, isn't the sequel, but it's by the same director. And, of course, it's the same genre, of course. And, yeah, it is mentioned alongside Deep Throat in this golden age of porn, of course. And, yeah, a lot of people loved that Deep Throat review, It's got a lot of views.
I'm glad they're so enthusiastic about our analysis.
Look, it clearly says on the thumbnail, Deep Throat Review.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it was kind of like how we still get the Indians who are angry about our Slumdog Millionaire review, as if we didn't make it very clear. It was like, they're just like, why didn't you show the movie, you idiots? I clicked on this expecting to see the movie, you bastards.
Yeah, well, it's their fault for expecting the movie would be on YouTube.
Yes.
For free. It's not our fault. Anyway, so The Devil in Miss Jones, Michael, is a 1973 pornographic film written and produced by Gerard Damiano and starring Georgina Spelvin and Harry Reams. Interesting. Yes, the cinematography is by Harry Flex, did a great job. The music is by Alden Schumann. The release date was March the 28th, 1973. So that is a relatively quick turnaround, because I think Deep Throat was like July 72.
He really got it in and out very quickly.
Yes, and it came out on March the 28th, 1973. And Michael, there is no budget, by the way.
Okay.
Which is a shame. I think Deep Throat's budget was like $50,000. But anyway, can you tell me what the box office was for The Devil in Miss Jones?
Okay, now I can't remember how well Deep Throat did, but I actually have a feeling this film did better financially than Deep Throat. Okay, tell me.
Deep Throat grossed $30 to $50 million.
Okay, because I was going to guess like in the 50 to 60 range, which would be consistent with my theory that this film did better. I guess I'll go for, bloody hell, I'll go for 60 million.
Oh, no, Michael, no. This was still incredibly successful. But yeah, you've actually gone you've gone more than double.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually only a quarter of what you guessed. The correct answer
is... So it got 15 million.
Yes, the correct answer is $15 million, which is probably still,
Yeah.
it was probably very, very profitable, probably made back its money and then some quite a few times over. But yeah, I think the thing with Deep Throat was it was like a phenomenon, like it had legs, as they say.
Legs for days.
Yes, and that is why we reviewed it last year. We probably wouldn't have reviewed The Devil and Miss Jones without reviewing Deep Throat, but
Yeah.
I was like, hey, we've done part 1, let's do part 2. And
In
there's
for
another
a penny, in for a pound.
Yes,
Say.
exactly.
A pound.
Do you know the third movie? It's called Behind the Green Door.
Yes, I did know that actually.
Yes. And that right there, of course you did, you pervert. And that right there is the other movie, but that came out in 1972. The three-headed monster, as it were, of the golden age of porn.
Wow.
Yeah, nothing funny about that phrase.
Well, yeah, I mean, one-eyed monster's worse, so that's not bad.
Exactly. Yes. So anyway, Michael, The Devil in Miss Jones. Did you like this movie?
Yeah, we're doing the thing where we're going to kind of review it as a movie, and with that in mind, I will actually say the plot is kind of interesting, and this film actually sort of has a more conspicuous kind of thematic element to it compared to, I think, Deep Throat, which I can't exactly remember, but obviously because Deep Throat explores themes of lust, but this kind of has a weird thing almost about morality and the idea of kind of justice and things like that. Obviously it's just a dumb premise for why she's gonna bang a bunch of dudes, but that kind of makes it interesting. I guess overall I couldn't really say I liked it, I suppose, because I would never watch this film unironically to enjoy it, in any sense. And with that said, I guess I technically didn't like it, but I did find it interesting, so that doesn't count for nothing.
You wouldn't do a Taxi Driver?
No, I wouldn't, yeah.
Taxi Driver.
Yeah, do we know in Taxi Driver what porno he takes her to see? Because sometimes on the outside of the theatre, they'll be now showing, blah, blah, blah.
No.
Do you know that?
No,
I
do not.
Boring.
No. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I wish I could help you there.
This is going to ruin my research.
Yes. So, Michael, did I like this movie? Well, you say there's a theme and there's a plot and the character has motivation. Of course, the character being Justine Jones. That really, to me, it seems... We'll look at it, but it just seems like the themes aren't really just themes and they're just window dressing. There's no real substance there. It's when you involve things like angels and heaven and the devil and hell, and put someone in purgatory or limbo, naturally in your mind you're thinking, oh, this is thematic.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it is. However, it's still better than Deep Throat.
Yes.
At least it's kind of pretending to be deeper than Deep Throat. Ironic, of course. But yeah, I think this is, on the whole, better than Deep Throat. And in the reviews at the end of this review, I think the critics acknowledge this, and I also think that's the case. This was a serious step up from Deep Throat. I guess Damiano got a lot more funding. But yeah, Michael, let us then go into lit picks or nitpicks. How many do you have?
I've got 2.
I've got 3 lit picks, so you go first.
Okay, the first one is, so this is just, this was a rookie error, but obviously we go through the films very early on, and one of the benefits of that is I sometimes forget what the kind of film is. I just have my list and I just go through my list I guess watching this film. And for the longest time I've had it written as The Devil and Miss Jones because, of course, I don't know if you know this, but sometimes there are these things called porn parodies, and they're actually taking the name of an actual existing film and switching it up. And I don't know if you're aware that this is with reference to a film from the 1940s called The Devil and Miss Jones. So I was like, oh yeah, we're going to be reviewing this 1940s film, The Devil and Miss Jones. And then when we called for The Dark Knight, you seemed to make a point of very clearly enunciating that we were in fact reviewing The Devil in Miss Jones, and I was like, oh, did he say in? And then, so basically, I don't know, the nitpick, it's not really a nitpick, I didn't know how to, but I just thought it was kind of funny that I literally found out in the immediate run-up to actually watching the film, oh wait, it's this, it's not some kind of 1940s film that Luke wants to review for some reason, it's I remembered. Anyway, as for my actual kind of nitpick, okay.
That I would say is a lit pick, honestly.
Yeah, it could qualify as a lit pick, yeah, because it was quite funny.
It'd be so funny if we started talking about completely different movies. That would be very funny.
Yeah,
and one of them was a pornography. Yeah, that'd be great, man.
Yeah, I mean, I almost thought to myself, you know what, I wouldn't mind watching The Devil and Miss Jones, just to see, you know, what's going on with that. But I couldn't actually find.
Do you think there's full penetration in that movie?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because you think maybe it's like a horror film if it's because of the name. But anyway, the actual nitpick is, and you know, it's a bit of a silly nitpick because I'm going to nitpick the logic of heaven or you know the afterlife here. The fact that like she's obviously asking, oh, can I have all this stuff? You know, can I do this thing? And he's like, no, it's out of the question. And then, you know, obviously he makes an exception. But then they already have like a whole procedure to go through where there's like the teacher, Harry Reams, and he's like waiting for her. And it's like, it's almost as if he's like, oh, I'm the teacher. You know, what I do is this thing. But it's like, well, according to the logic of the film, she's like the first person they've actually kind of made this exception for. So really, you know, the idea that like this teacher guy is like there with this kind of knowledge, like, yes, this is who I am. I'm the guy who teaches women who've committed suicide to be sluts. And it's like, well, you know, you must have had a boring job up until this point because this is the first time they've ever let a woman do this. So there we go.
Yeah, no, I guess so, yeah. He says there is a lot of monotony going on.
Yes.
So yeah, again, it's just a stupid premise.
No, yeah.
But yeah, I think it's fine to nitpick the premise. So let's go on to my lit picks, Michael. So my first lit pick, I think, also concerns the fact that, you know, I do the scheduling for the movies that we review here on Select and Reflect. And of course, I put in Devil and Miss Jones way back. I think it was a few months ago, actually. I didn't put it in originally, and then I was like, oh yeah, we definitely should review this because of its 50-year anniversary in this year. So and of course, I just happened to schedule it for this particular week,
which is the first week of my married life. Yes.
Yes. Isn't that just perfect?
Well, it is funny because again, also for the record, I haven't actually told my wife yet that I was reviewing this film and what the film is. But I did mention to her back when I thought we were reviewing The Devil and Miss Jones. I actually was like, oh, we're going to be reviewing this film called The Devil and Miss Jones. We can watch it together. It's like this 1940s film. And then when I realized it wasn't that, I was just like, just decided not to mention it, not to bring it up. And you know,
Why?
she hasn't. Well, you know what? I mean, it doesn't really.
Be angry at you.
I don't think, to be fair, I don't think she would because I think, you know, she understands I have a duty to this podcast.
It is, of course, an artistic. Well, you know, we're evaluating art, right?
Yeah, we are of course not. And for the record, I mean, you know, this film's not that hot. I didn't, you know, I wasn't. But yeah, I think basically she wouldn't have been angry, but she definitely wouldn't have wanted to watch it with me. So,
that would have been funny if you sat down and you're like, oh yeah, change of plans. Actually, it's not going to be The Devil and Miss Jones. It's The Devil in Miss Jones, but you might still find it enjoyable. And then right away from the first scene.
Yes, the first scene is intense.
I want to suck your balls, suck your ass. Yeah, just what? Yeah, she'd be reconsidering everything. Yeah.
Also, yeah, can I just say, like, you know, and I don't want to go against the, you know, some people clearly have all sorts they're into, but like, I feel like the phrase "suck your ass" is probably,
honestly,
it's a very weird thing to say as if like, yeah, that's what people, because all I can think is,
I've never heard that phrase before.
Yeah, well, I've never heard it. Yeah, like all I can think, just to completely ruin any prospect of it being like sexual, is like, it makes me imagine like the guy farting. Like that's all I can think. Because I'm just like,
wow.
Like he's like sucking it because it's like,
you know what? Some people are into that. So yeah, no, but that's the thing. She is, I guess, a sexual deviant, so she's into everything.
That's it, I suppose. Yeah, to be honest, actually, as far as like choosing something that's like, wow, you've got to be pretty crazy to be into that. I guess they didn't make like a terrible choice.
Yeah,
like she's like, you know, I'll suck your dick. I'm like, okay, that's a pretty like normal thing. Like, I want to suck your ass. Like, okay, wow.
Yeah, she was just going through things that she could suck, you know. And, you know, he didn't bite on dick or balls, so maybe ass. You know, that's the next logical thing.
That is true, actually, yeah.
Yeah, to like, offer. Yeah.
Progress.
Yeah, the next offer would be that. And then who knows after that? I mean, she's kind of fucked, isn't she? But I guess she's not really. That's the point. But no.
Yes, she's literally not.
Yes. But the thing is, of course, you did mention before that, you know, this movie, you didn't find it very enticing.
No,
you know? And honestly, that matters. And we didn't mention that in our review, in our initial thoughts, whether we liked it or not. But yeah, that's kind of a given. Like, it just wasn't that, stirring, shall we say, And that is, I guess, something that we have to consider, because that is the main point of this film. The main point, of course, is not art, even though that is the only reason why we are reviewing this movie, is because it was considered like almost a proper movie. So it would make sense for us to focus on that quite a bit, like the plot and the motivations of the characters. But yeah, obviously we have to consider, like, was it hot, and hot or not, the answer is probably not,
That's it. I mean, to be honest, like these old movies from the past, I feel like some people specifically are like they're like, oh man, it's so retro, and that's like,
well, we'll get into the comments, Michael.
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
My other litpick, by the way, is that it's just great taking like notes on a movie like this. We discussed this when reviewing Deep Throats. It's just great, like sitting down, watching, some.
Makes you feel very sophisticated.
Yes, exactly. Some woman just getting, double penetrated, and you're just taking notes. It's like, that's very, very interesting, very, very intriguing insertion there of the penis into the vagina. No, honestly, I didn't do that, but yeah, it's great doing our normal kind of reviewing for a movie like this, which is why it's fun.
It does feel like a comedic on a meta level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and my other litpick is: did you know, Michael, how many sequels there are for The Devil in Miss Jones? How many sequels have been released?
4. Well, no, I think there are 3 sequels coming to 4 films in total.
Well, there was The Devil in Miss Jones 2, released in 1982.
Okay.
Yes. There was also starring Georgina Spelvin, which was a satirical take, by the way, on the original The Devil in Miss Jones 3, A New Beginning, and The Devil in Miss Jones, The Final Outrage, 1986. They both came out that year. And Lois Ayers was the star. 1991, The Devil in Miss Jones 2, The Devil's Agenda, starring Alexander Quinn and also Ron Jeremy. He was in it. The Devil in Miss Jones 5, The Inferno, in 1995. Yeah,
that's kind of like that is a cool subtitle, actually.
Yeah, Julie Ashton was Miss Jones in that one, and then of course we have 1999, The Devil in Miss Jones 6, which Stacey Valentine was the star. She was Miss Jones. So of course that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sequels now.
Wow.
And then we have the new Devil in Miss Jones.
Wow, it's like the reboot with the
I know.
They had James Gunn come in, like, oh no, we've already lost our way with these films.
Yeah, like the comic book movies, they saw the precedent set by The Devil in Miss Jones, but like, yeah, we can do that.
Yes.
Just reboot things every few years with new actors. So we have Savannah Sampson, who was Miss Jones in that movie. And by the way, it won Best Art Direction, Best Cinema. Bloody hell, it won a lot in the 2006 AVN Awards. That was a big hit. Oh, by the way, The Devil in Miss Jones, The Devil's Agenda was not considered part of the series by some. So there you go.
Oh, so for the purists, they're like,
yes.
Oh no, I'm not about this.
The purists do not like that, yes.
That's hilarious.
Yes. So, by the way, the 2005 The New Devil in Miss Jones was one of the most expensive porno films to ever be produced. Yes.
Wow.
Spelvin was, of course, 70 years old, and she took a non-sexual role as a cleaning woman and mentor.
Oh, that's nice, showing some respect to where it came from.
Yeah, the rest respecting the OG. Yes, the OG Miss Jones. And then we have the final sequel, which was in 2010, which was The Devil in Miss Jones, The Resurrection.
Oh, you know what? That's kind of... See, the fact they went into 2010 is really interesting because, I feel like my guess would be that... I guess it was really with, like, the rise of, like, the internet. Because obviously, like, porn nowadays is a very different beast in that it's like, they don't even, like... They really don't pretend. And I imagine, because obviously the 70s, they were really pretending. Yes. But nowadays, they really... don't pretend.
That's it's the decline of porn. You can trace there is a nice parallel, like the decline of porn and the decline of America go like hand in hand. There used to be proper like art and like good middle class jobs in the 70s and into the 80s, and then Reagan took that all away, as did, I guess, technology. and on-demand porn. So yeah, you don't get like porn movies like this anymore. Indeed, yeah, it seems like the 2000s was the last era where you could produce like porn movies.
Yeah, because like I know there was like I feel like in the 2000s they were still kind of doing like the hey, it's me, the pizza guy with the pizza delivery, from Big Sausage Pizza.
Yeah, well, it's just you could the only way to get porn would be to like order DVDs.
I feel like because they had to make it more of an experience. Nowadays, I hate to say it, but people they with this streaming, they'll like skip the plot.
Yeah, well, that's the thing nowadays. Like, you can get instant HD pornography with like a couple of clicks. But back then, like in the 2000s, your best bet for HD or just decent quality was DVDs, because I don't imagine the quality was very good up until maybe like 2010. That's when things perhaps started to change. Judging by this anyway. And yeah, obviously the new Devil in Miss Jones in 2005 that had a budget of $250,000, which is just insane. I can't imagine a porn movie today would ever be that expensive.
That is insane.
Yeah, that is insane. By the way, I just noticed this. Starting in 1999 with The Devil in Miss Jones 6, the devil was played by a woman. You had Tina Tyler, then Jenna Jameson in 2005.
Okay.
And then in 2010 it was Savannah Sampson with Miss Jones being played by Belladonna. So there you go. Also, I love the name of this guy who played the devil in the 1995 The Devil in Miss Jones 5, The Inferno, which was Rip Hyman, which I think is a great name.
Oh no, that's a terrible name. Rip Hyman. Oh no.
Yeah. Well, you have a Rip Torn, so it's a name, Rip, and then Rip Hyman. That's a great fucking name.
Oh,
anyway. So yeah, that's my other lit pick, just the amount of sequels. So how many sequels were there in total? So 1, 2, 3,
10.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, sorry,
8 sequels. Yeah, but of course one of them maybe doesn't count, and one of them was a double feature. So maybe only 6 sequels if you really want to be pedantic.
You know how Quentin Tarantino is obsessed with like movies from the 70s. He should actually direct a porno. Because like
should
he has that. Well, I don't really care, but he has like the power to kind of do it, and basically he almost like can single-handedly make it at least somewhat legitimate. Because like if someone else did it, it would be like, oh, it's just someone doing that thing. But,
well, I think we discussed Lars von Trier did something similar.
Oh yeah, he did a Nymphomaniac. Yeah, but he's no Quentin Tarantino.
Well, yeah, but it's the same kind of thing. I mean, there is an upper limit, I imagine Lars von Trier probably got close to that limit in terms of like legitimacy and like how much money it made at the box office. But maybe, but that's the thing. Like, that's Tarantino. Even though he's a bit out there as a director, he's still mainstream. Like that would not be mainstream, would it?
No, yes, that would be a big move.
Yeah, that would be a big deviation. Yeah. So yeah, maybe Christopher Nolan should do one.
Yes,
I'd love to see a Christopher Nolan porn movie, like, because how Christopher Nolan he's kind of like autistic. Well, I say I kind of joke.
Yeah, I get what you mean. You kind of mean it in the sense of like he's a bit crazy.
Yeah, like he likes specific things. Like he's obsessed with time, and I just imagine like all the male porn actors in Christopher Nolan porno wearing suits, like while they're banging. They still keep the suits on because he loves that aesthetic. He loves men in suits. He loves like time in general.
Yeah. Also, he wouldn't use any CGI.
Yeah. No. Good point. He'd keep it. Yeah. Pure. But anyway, let's get on to The Devil in Miss Jones. We talked a lot about everything but this movie.
Yes.
To be honest. So the plot: Justine Jones, a lonely and depressed spinster, decides that suicide is the only way out of her routinely dull existence. The angel Abaca agrees with Justine. In order for her not to be stuck in limbo, she will return to Earth and become the embodiment of lust, which is of course one of the 7 deadly sins. Isn't that right?
It is, yes, and that's her logic.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, so her reasoning is that basically she kills herself, and then, which to be honest, I thought I was just going to have to be skipping through the sexual part, but even her slitting her wrist, I was like, oh man, I don't want to. Which again, like, I want to know, like, if you're like, let's say you decide to kind of get ready and in position to start, enjoying the porno in the way that a man might. I feel like for most people who aren't crazy, her like literally slitting her wrist, you would hope, for most people who aren't like psychos, would be like a boner killer. But whatever.
Yeah, maybe. But I just want to get into the plot first before that. Then we can discuss, the intricacies of that. But yeah, I think this movie in general is more interesting than Deep Throat. Like I said, that had a very interesting gimmick. I think that's a fair way to describe it, which was a girl had a clitoris in her throat. So the only way she could get, pleasure from sex is, from giving blowjobs. And, the plot expands from there. Well, I say expands, not really. Like that is generous.
Something expands from there.
Yes, but actual thought was put into the story, which is what differentiates it from Deep Throat. It's not just a gimmick which drives the plot. There is some thought behind why Miss Jones has sex a bunch of times in this movie, right?
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Like basically, logically, it makes sense. That I guess she was like repressed. I guess if they really wanted to lean into actually being a film, they could have kind of explored her initial state a bit more, and like why she was repressed. But obviously her logic then is, well, if I'm gonna go to hell for committing suicide, I might as well also enjoy some of the other stuff I didn't enjoy.
Yeah, which we'll get into that, but I just want to say in general, like the plot's better than
logically it makes sense. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So the film, by the way, or the plot, was inspired by the 1944 play No Exit. So it's interesting that you were talking about The Devil and Miss Jones.
Yeah, it was from the 40s.
From the 40s. It was inspired by a play from the 40s by French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre. Or Sartre, however you say it.
I think it is Sartre. I think I literally just Sartre.
Okay.
There's definitely a more French way of pronouncing it, but who cares?
Yeah, I know. I just, you want to be authentic, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So the play begins with three characters who find themselves waiting in a mysterious room. It is a depiction of the afterlife, in which three deceased characters are punished by being locked into a room together for eternity. It is the source of Sartre's famous phrase, "L'enfer, c'est l'autre," or "hell is other people," a reference to Sartre's ideas about the luck and the perpetual struggle of being caused to see oneself as an object from the view of another. Is that similar to this movie, Michael? Is a similar theme portrayed in this movie?
It almost sounds like a kind of meta-critique in a way, hell is being seen as an object. Yeah, I mean, not really, to be honest.
No.
Basically, I mean, the whole idea of like being in hell. There is actually, you know what? This doesn't work because it's a reverse example of inspiration. I hope it's not inspiration because there was an old like kind of Goosebumps book. It was something like Goosebumps, and basically it was like there was this kid who was really badly behaved, and then he lies to get into heaven, and he pretends that he was really good. So he goes into heaven, and then it's like really boring because there's like angels kind of, and basically like he's like, oh man, this is actually really boring because there's no like violence and there's no like stuff that, like there's nobody playing pranks and things like that. So then he goes up to St. Peter and he's like, hey, St. Peter, I don't want to spend eternity here. It's really boring. And then St. Peter turns into the devil and he's like, oh, what made you think you were in heaven? Actually, you're in hell because you're into like, being a bad person. Heaven, which is a good place, is like hell for you. And I thought it was kind of interesting because it's sort of like, her punishment in the end is that she doesn't get to be banged because she has to hang around with a crazy person. So I guess Jean-Paul Sartre's real thing should have been like, hell is being really horny when you're stuck in a room with a crazy person who has no interest in having sex with you.
Yes.
That's the real philosophical insight.
Yes, I guess so, yes. But that's the thing. What Sartre's, point, hell is other people, that isn't replicated here, is it? Like, she is, at the end, she's stuck in hell, but of course, it's because she is like this sexual deviant now who, it's just, I think it's relatively simple. It's like, oh, this is your biggest want, well, you're not getting it. But anyway, let's get into the background of this movie, Michael, because this is widely regarded as a classic adult film. Released during the golden age of porn, which was what years, Michael?
I don't know, 1972 to 1984.
You are so close.
Oh, really?
It's 1969 to 1984.
Oh, so, cool.
Yeah. After his 1972 success with Deep Throat, Damiano shot the film in a converted apple packing plant in Millenville, Pennsylvania. Along with Deep Throat and Behind the Green Door, the film is associated with a time in American culture known as porno chic. Of course, we discussed this in Deep Throat, in which adult erotic films were just beginning to be widely released, publicly discussed by celebrities like Johnny Carson and Bob Hope, and taken seriously by film critics. So this again was another one of those movies. I think it has more of a right to be taken seriously compared to Deep Throat. I think that's fair. Yes. Would you say that's the case as well? Yeah.
Yeah. I think like I can understand why like people would be like, oh no, this is like a serious movie, whereas I couldn't think anyone would actually think that about Deep Throat, unironically.
Yeah. And now I think it's time to go through the comments section, Michael, on The Devil and Miss Jones. 514,000 people have watched this video. 99% upvoted, so the people like this.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So, there's the 1982 version as well. I see.
Ooh.
Maybe I'll watch that later.
On your private time, off the record.
Yes. So, this is from Love Big Ta, which I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't know what ta is. Yeah.
Yeah. Depending on your age, this is the type of porn that would arouse me as a youngster.
Wow.
Seeing a woman's hairy pussy get fucked by a hairy cock. And that is it's got 15 likes, that one.
Wow.
Yeah. People agree. This is great. From Mike Arch Angel. Hot. And that's it.
Wow.
Love it. Superb dirty talk, incredibly erotic. 53 minutes 20 seconds in. Wow. That was from BB6969.
BB69. That's a great name. That guy. That's the real porn star name we need in life.
He has another comment. BB6969. My wife and I loved watching this on the big screen in a theater when it was first released. Wow.
Wow.
From Jim3801. The snake scene was very disturbing, but the rest of the movie was extremely erotic.
Oh, I didn't like the snake.
Yes. Oh, God. Love the last scene where she's fingering herself, sexy as hell. You see, I would have... that's the complete opposite, in my opinion. Like, it's not, you know...
Yeah, but, like, how... like, people are weird. We're basically a different species from the past.
Yes. Wonder how old she was. Hot and milfy. Well, she was 36 by Curious Rob.
Oh, okay. That is a pretty milfy age, to be fair. So
yeah, you could
not
be
inaccurate. Yeah,
legally.
of course. In theory, you can be like a milf at like. I mean, even within the parameters of like legality at like 19. Just doesn't really.
Yeah, but I feel like you need to have a kid who is like.
Yeah, it's kind of old. Like a kid who is, let's say, old enough that the kid's friends might be aware of the mum being attractive.
Yeah,
I think that should be the rule.
Nice restoration of an absolute classic. One of the best porn movies of all time. The last scene where she is being double teamed is a real sperm extractor.
Sperm extractor, I love it. Wow. Oh, God.
That I think is the best comment.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh God, that sperm extractor. That's what I just seen. Circumcised one. It says, look. Wow. Yeah, circumcised one. What a great username. Looks like she has a wart or something on her vulva. Have a look at 26 minutes. So.
Okay, he's really, that's a 2 out of 10 would not bang kind of comment, right there.
Yeah. Oh, there's an original cut from that's a bit longer. That has 1.2 million views.
Oh wow.
I'm in Riverdale. I learned how to suck cock thanks to her. Rub against soft cock on my face. Lick the tip. I even moaned like the first time. The first cock I sucked about how smooth it is and the taste. God,
okay, I mean, see, whenever I see comments like that, I always assume I know people might like to imagine that's a woman, but I'm very confident it's actually a gay dude.
Yes. Well, yeah, they don't have a sex symbol next to their name, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, so either a gay dude or a robot. Actually, sorry, somebody trying to get that OnlyFans money.
Yeah. I always come to that scene, spelled SEEN.
Okay.
And love coming when they are rubbing dicks and the cum is all over them. It's so fucking sexy.
That sounds kind of gay.
I know.
I love they're rubbing dicks with each other's cum. Oh God.
Sorry, this is great. This is the best part of the review.
I know, yeah,
This
I
is
do
from-
enjoy this.
This is from a Seaman Captain. I've come gallons over this film over 40 years. Still works
Gallons.
every time. Oh, God. The DP scene is amazing. Georgina's dirty talk is the best. So I think... Oh, look at this from Brooklyn Shemale. Georgina Spelvin is not attractive in my opinion, but her acting in this movie takes her to another level. She's really good. So, there you go. What do you think about that, Michael? Is she attractive?
God. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna say she's fine. Like, I don't know. Obviously, like in the past, everyone looks so different. It's
Wait,
really
what
kind of
laptop
hard
are
to
you
say. I'm just on my regular laptop, but
why are you afraid of typing it in then?
just because I like to avoid it when possible. Okay. No, she just looks like. No, yeah, she's not that good looking. She's kind of got like a weird, like, kind of bumpy face. Like, I would say her face is a bit too bumpy.
Right. This is from Rubu90. He's from the UK, by the way.
Oh.
Yes, the scene at the end is really cool, and her acting performance and facial expression, that of a good actress. In a cell with the director, Deep Throat and this movie. Yes, that is, of course, Gerard Damiano at the end and at the start of the movie. They are both banished into hell, and he talks about him, i.e. devil. That's what it means to depict. Great script, and what hot legs sports together with her stockings and high heels. The icing on the cake in Hell's Cell would have been for her to pee in his mouth as the ultimate act of sinful behaviour.
Oh, yeah. he would have loved that. He's like, he cares about the kind of consistency and, like the expression of the film. That's why he really wants her to do that. That's the only reason.
Yes, she is a fairly good actress in facial expressions and delivering her lines with intelligence. Most of the plastic robot bimbos nowadays can sound like dummies in comparison. Yeah, this is again back when porn was great, like a boomer thing, Back when porn was good. These were the days where artful, imaginative scripts were written and had some artistic auteur flavour. Yeah, there you go. Now people make porn with their iPhones.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
This is like, I actually really do enjoy this like wrong generation kind of take.
Yeah, well, no, I think he's in the right generation. He's just complaining about how things are nowadays,
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. One of the hottest classics made. I love this woman. Jerked my cock to this as a kid, going through mummy and daddy's things and stumbling across the VHS collection.
Wow.
Still stands as a good porno. Not into the silicone piercings and tats. But yeah, I just love all the debate in the comment section.
Like people like trying to like decide how they feel about it.
I like how people have like nostalgia for this and like have some like warm feeling towards like this, which is very funny. Because Georgina was simply stunning. She could act and she could fuck. Yeah. I love this movie. Love it when they DP her and he comes on the other guy's balls. Yeah, that's great. Right, there we go.
Again, a very gay thing to like.
Yes. Well, my sister absolutely loves this classic. We have it in our library still.
They have it for family movie night.
Yes, apparently. Oh god, whatever, man. Anyway, so there you go. That's enough comments. But that was fun. That was a nice deviation. So let's get back to this movie, Michael. So it starts off with a woman, of course, begging a man to have sex with her, and the guy isn't interested. And I would say that is intriguing, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, actually, like genuinely, like the introduction is kind of like actually powerful. Like in a movie that you were supposed to take seriously, you'd be like, oh, actually, the intrigue here. I want to see where this is going. How did we get to this point?
Yeah, and Justine Jones, she's a lonely and depressed spinster, and she thinks that suicide is the only way out of her dull existence. And so, yeah, she slits her wrists with a shaving blade and then dies. And again, it's intriguing, but like you said, yeah, like, what if you're hard, maybe it does,
Yeah,
like,
it's a real boner killer.
Yeah, you have to take your dick out probably like 15 minutes into this movie, You
that's it, yeah.
Can't do it earlier, yeah. So the angel Abaka, played by John Clemens, informs Jones that although she has lived a pure life, her suicide has disqualified her from entering heaven, and she must spend eternity in limbo. Angered that her sole indiscretion has left her with only the options of limbo or hell, Jones begs Abaka to let her earn her place in hell by being allowed to return to Earth and become the embodiment of lust. Again, when I'm watching this, I'm thinking, yeah, this is so much better than Deep Throat. And again, it's just so much better, this scene. But I think, there is an interesting premise here. And the situation that the protagonist finds herself in is great. And I think the acting is good as well, like especially in that scene, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I actually like, again, it feels like, I wouldn't say it's like the best acting in the world, but it feels like it's definitely approaching good acting, and the dialogue and I guess like the situation the character's in is actually kind of believable. So yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
no.
sense. Although I also think like a lot of time films from the past you kind of just tolerate like a degree of bad acting. Like
Yes.
if I saw like a modern film with someone talking like that, I'd be like, this is weird. But
Yeah. I know, yeah, obviously it's a different time, but like I could expect a level of acting like this from a movie in the 70s,
yeah,
And yeah, are there any themes going on either, Michael? I mean, we've kind of talked about this, is there a theme of it's better to have sinned a lot because you might not have regrets, or is it just like Damiano, like No Exit, was like, oh yeah, I could make the premise into an interesting porno, Is that what he was thinking here?
Yeah, I mean, I do think it probably wasn't like an intentional kind of thematic point. However, I do think that it does end up actually making an interesting point about like that kind of idea of if like I guess like the logic of if you have like I guess like an absolute system of punishment where like one thing that's bad will lead to kind of an eternity of punishment, then you might as well go all in. So I guess it does kind of show how like, and weirdly, because it kind of reminds me of like the point people make about how if you have the death penalty, then it means that criminals will be more likely to go all in with their criminality and like like shoot out of the police and stuff because they know they're going to die, so they might as well just go for it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No.
interesting point.
Yeah, kind of interesting. And did you like all the religious stuff? Because as a man of religion, I bet you loved all that, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, it did seem a bit. I guess like the logic is, it kind of felt like this film was supposed to be kind of, I guess, Catholic, because like, did they mention? Sorry, just remind me. Did they mention limbo specifically in the film?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously like that kind of limbo, like purgatory thing, is like a Catholic thing. They could have gone. I mean, she could have been a nun, which would also explain like why she hadn't done anything.
Oh. That would have been interesting, yeah. But maybe,
maybe that would have been like too sacrilegious for like society at the time.
I was thinking too cliche,
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, too cliche, Justine has an intense session of pain and pleasure with a menacing man who goes only by the title of the teacher. And this is, of course, Harry Reams. He's back. This, again, is before he converted to Christianity. He's literally playing the devil here.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And I don't know if we mentioned it in Deep Throat, but he's a very hairy guy,
He is pretty hairy, yeah.
Yes. But anyway, Justine gets her asshole fingered first. And then I love when she sees his penis and immediately she's like, oh, it's a big, beautiful cock, That's just great writing right there.
Yeah, I like when it's like really kind of extreme unrealistic enthusiasm.
Yes.
I've always, what I've mentioned before? It's like, God, see, I can't really, this doesn't work for a podcast medium, but it's like, the face that a man makes when he realizes he's in a porno, which is like basically like a moment in like the dialogue or something where a guy like pulls like a face that's like really like wide-eyed and he's like, whoa! And that's like my, I live for that, and I feel like it's kind of a similar thing in terms of that reaction.
No, I get that. I will say she converts Miss Jones into a so-called I guess sexual deviant quite quickly. She is a spinster, so maybe it was building up in her for a long time, inside of her. Kind of like, what's he called? The 40-year-old virgin.
Yes.
Steve Carell, yeah.
Yeah, well, I feel like, I haven't seen 40-year-old virgin in a while, but I feel like it doesn't end with him like going on some kind of sex-crazy spree at the end, does it?
No, but he just wants to fuck his wife like over and over again.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah. Because he's got he hasn't done it for his whole life, and maybe it's this. Yeah, the same here. And but the thing is, like 5 minutes after losing her virginity, like she's doing anal. And that could be a nitpick. Or maybe, I guess, Harry Reams is a good teacher. It's one of the two. But yeah, at least she has a motivation which makes the sex scenes like credible. And I think Roger Ebert said something like that. It's there is some credibility, there is some motivation. You understand why she is in this situation. Which again is an improvement to most porn movies at the time, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. And again, the least we can ask for is consistency. And I think it's terrible because like obviously people talk about like horror kind of like you just expect characters not to behave rationally and not to really have any kind of motivation for why they're doing what they're doing. And it's pretty bad when a film like this has even like some horror movies beat in terms of like character motivation making sense. You know,
Yeah,
I don't
agree.
think Miss Jones would like go explore a haunted house on her own without a flashlight or weapon. She's too sensible for that, too well motivated.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So this is from Wikipedia. Justine has several bizarre and sexually deviant encounters, the last of which is a graphic threesome. I love that Wikipedia calls it bizarre. So we start off, she has sex with another woman who starts massaging her, and then they, have full-on lesbian sex, which didn't happen in Deep Throat, right? There was no lesbian scene.
No, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. So Damiano's like, he's expanding, his craft. And that, by the way, is Judith Hamilton as first girl with Justine.
First girl.
Yeah, actually, she has a name, Claire Lumiere. There you go. Then she shoves a hose pipe in her ass.
That's just like so funny where you just say that.
Yeah, it's an escalation. And
Yes.
then Harry Reams comes in her mouth, and then she shoves a banana into her vagina before eating it, then sucks a snake. So she is covering all the bases here, isn't she?
Yeah, all the entire like tree of life.
Yes, I just want to know like who had the idea for like the hose pipe, the banana, the snake.
I heard. Okay, here's the thing. I do know this. Apparently, the snake was improvised.
How'd you just get a snake and improvise?
Well, I think what it was is the snake was kind of there to show like for symbolic reasons because of Adam and Eve and all that, like Garden of Eden, serpent. And I think she just kissed the snake. I guess because she wasn't scared of snakes. And then the director was like, oh wait, I know where this could go.
Yeah.
Get a shot of her kissing the snake on camera.
No, that is, I guess, interesting, yeah. But, I think what's the weirdest thing, the hosepipe, the banana, or the snake? I'm going to go ahead and say that it's because she doesn't really do a lot with the snake, so it's probably the banana, for me.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Banana makes sense. I mean, yeah, if we're talking about weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that gets us to another point, like, is this sexy? Like, because, people are meant to jack off to this, obviously. That's the major point of movies like this. And, like, that scene in particular, like we talked before, is like, are the other sex scenes, like, sexy? And the answer is no. Maybe we've just been spoiled, Michael, by, modern pornography. Maybe that's the issue. But, like, this scene is definitely, like, not sexy. And to be fair, like, it
kind of feels like it's almost like they're in their infancy where they're just like, oh, just throw anything into it, just do whatever. There's no subtlety, no sophistication.
I like the visual. I like the fact that you're doing this, but it like defeats the whole point really, because I can't imagine the average person, like wanted to jack off to this. Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. I think like indeed the idea that anyone would have makes me feel like it's very strange.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so let's talk about Georgina Spelvin. Because while reviewing Deep Throat, we talked a lot about Linda Lovelace and the fact that, she had an incredible penchant for sucking cock, I believe, was the phrase that was used. Maybe I don't know. But, of course, she might have been raped while filming Deep Throat. No such horror story here with Georgina Spelvin.
Well, yeah, because she's stuck with it.
Yeah. Her real name, by the way, was Shelley Graham, I just saw. Still alive. But yeah, Spelvin was 36 when she made the film. The Devil in Miss Jones was one of her first acting appearances following a career as a chorus girl on Broadway, where she was featured in productions such as Cabaret, Guys and Dolls, Sweet Charity, and The Pajama Game. Her role in The Devil in Miss Jones was typical of her career, as she often played celibate spinsters who have a sexual awakening. And then become sex fiends, like Sleepyhead. That's interesting. She also meets a tragic end in several of her other films. So yeah, God, this played right to her strengths.
Yeah, she's going to get typecast.
I know. The film marked the first time she used the moniker Georgina Spelvin, a reference to George Spelvin, a traditional stage name used to hide a performer's identity for any number of reasons. So yeah, it's understandable why she wanted to hide her real name, of course.
Yes.
And so yeah, that is her name, I guess, in the rest of her career as well. So according to her interview on Dave's Old Porn, Spelvin also did the craft services and cooking on set.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really defeating stereotypes.
I know. Oh, that's more perfect woman, you know?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Yeah. The actress billed in the movie as Claire Lumiere was hired to do craft services only, but was offered $100 to do a lesbian scene with Spelvin, which she accepted. So yeah, that lesbian scene was, never was meant to come to fruition, but there you go. $100 was enough to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100, that's not very much, but
No, it's not. In an audio interview with the Rialto report in 2013, Spelvin spoke about how she and Lumiere were lovers at the time, and they accepted the adult film work as a means of raising money for their film collective. So yeah, that's probably why she accepted $100, because she was used to, being with Georgina Spelvin. So there you go.
So basically just doing for free what she was already paid to do anyway.
Sorry,
do the opposite. Yes, sorry, the opposite around here.
Yes. Yeah, exactly, yes. But the question is, Michael, is Georgina Spelvin a better performer than Linda Lovelace? I
kind of want to say yes for ethical reasons.
Yes, exactly. I read that question and then I realised, wait, oh yeah, Linda Lovelace did probably get raped while filming Deep Throat.
Yeah, so can't complain that much.
No, yeah. So probably the reason why she's more enthusiastic and a good actor, as many of the comments noted under the video, was because she actually was probably enjoying performing. I guess she appeared in sequels to this movie, so yeah, that is the difference. And again, I think obviously Linda Lovelace is kind of a horror story, of what can happen. But at the same time, you look at Georgina Spelvin, and you're like, oh yeah, that she should that's the thing. If you make porn illegal, or you're not allowed to perform in porn, that's against the law, then she probably she made a career out of it. She probably enjoyed doing it, and that is something that, again, if you were to make it illegal, that would happen a lot less, but porn would still exist, of course.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Also, I think I pointed out before, it's a bit weird. Some people say, oh yeah, nobody would ever agree to do it voluntarily. It always has to be coercive, but which just doesn't make any sense, because there are people who do these things in situations where they don't need to, and quite voluntarily, because there are people who could quit easily and they don't. And also, there are people who don't even ever try to monetize it in the first place because they're just doing it casually anyway. If she would, what's her name? Georgina Melvin? Spelvin.
Just said it about 20 times.
Yeah. I know, yeah, I just couldn't remember. She would just be on Tinder doing all this stuff anyway.
Okay. Yeah, all right. But of course there's a difference between being on Tinder and being in porn movies. You understand that, Michael, of course.
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, vaguely. But that's the thing, some people like, having sex on camera or performing on camera. It's so different to a normal job that you have to, on some level, like doing that. Otherwise,
there are worse things to do, or sorry, no, there are things, more obvious choices to make in terms of meeting the financial requirements of living in society. Economic equality and kind of opportunity is an important thing in general, and obviously people should have the ability to nobody should have to do something that they clearly don't want to do just to make money.
Yeah. So so back to the movie. We have Justine, and she has another conversation with the angel. And, she says she's content, but Abika, of course, can't send her back for good. But, I assume, she has completed her training. And so now she's out fucking in the real world, She's having a threesome with a girl, another threesome with two men that DP her. And I guess, this is her being the sin of lust out in the world. And I think I would have liked a scene where the angel places her back on Earth. Says, go out and suck as many cocks as you like or something.
Of course, yeah.
Yes. But yeah, is the threesome scenes, Michael? So obviously, the threesome with the girl is quite quick, and then the second threesome where she is DP'd, it feels quite demonic. She just seems possessed, which makes it more artistic. But again, for the people wanting to jack off, that might be quite tough,
Yeah, it's very distracting.
Yeah, overall, again, the sex scenes are probably more interesting than Deep Throat, but they're less jack offable,
Yeah.
Yeah, so going by that metric, I don't know, maybe that's why this movie did not rake in as much money as Deep Throat in the long run, because people, because yes,
it didn't know what it needed to be.
Yeah, well, people could appreciate the story, but I don't know. Well, obviously, you look at that comment section, under the video on that porn website, and it's oh yeah, people love it, but they're only going to comment on this video because they like it. I wonder
Yeah,
if
it's a
the average...
survivor bias.
Exactly, yes. I wonder if the average person actually thought Deep Throat was, sexier and therefore more jack-offable compared to The Devil and Miss Jones. Would you say that would be fair?
Yeah, I think so. Like, yeah, basically, I imagine it didn't have mass appeal in the same way, because it's it's a bit weird and mostly about the plot, I guess.
Yes. So, just as Jones is enjoying her new life of lust, the time she was given to fulfill herself runs out, and she is faced with eternity in hell. Though she is at first horrified at the pain she will be forced to endure, Abaca dispels the common human myth of hell and promises Jones that she will be quite comfortable. So yeah, this is no exit interpretation of hell too, I imagine. There is no hellish torture, just, I guess, psychological torture, which is worse, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, like, it's been pointed out that actually eternity would have to be pretty nice in order to not eventually end up being torture. Like, if you were, because obviously, for example, like, just being in a room on your own for eternity would be horrible, even if, like, nothing else is going on. So, yeah, it's kind of, like, quite a standard point to reach, but it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's interesting, yeah. Now a raging sex addict, Jones finds herself confined to a small room with an impotent man who is more interested in catching flies than her. She desperately begs the man for sex, but he merely asks her to be quiet while he listens for the buzzing of the insects. Is there a thematic reason why the guy she's with, who is of course Damiano, why he just wants to hear a fly buzzing? Is that a reference to No Exit as well? I could look that up, but I just can't think of a thematic reason why.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it would be a fly. You catch more flies with honey. No, I don't know. I think. I don't think, like, you could stretch to find a symbolic meaning for it, but I feel like the film doesn't make it obvious what that symbolic meaning would be.
Yes, no, I agree. But yeah, again, it's an interesting ending, which is very depressing, honestly.
That's kind of funny, yeah.
Yeah, which I guess is different. It's different from what you expect from porn. You don't expect, like, depressing endings.
Yeah.
You expect happy endings, of course. Do you like that joke?
I didn't even realize it was a joke, but yes, now I suddenly realize, yeah, that is quite good.
Yes, so I can see why his critics were somewhat impressed by this. So the film's review in Variety said, with The Devil and Miss Jones, the hardcore porno feature approaches an art form, one that critics may have a tough time ignoring in the future. Well, no, I think it peaked, really, with this movie, but yeah. The review went on to say, Damiano has expertly fashioned a bizarre melodrama and described the opening scene as a sequence so effective it would stand out in any legit theatrical feature. It finished by stating, booking a film of this technical quality into a standard sex house is tantamount to throwing it on the trash heap of the most current hardcore fare. According to Peter Mitchelson, there is a relatively small corpus of porn films, e.g. Deep Throat, The Devil and Miss Jones, Behind the Green Door, that have a minimal but still sufficient artistic interest to distinguish themselves from the rest of the genre. Like, again, I don't think you can say that about Deep Throat. I think you can say that about The Devil and Miss Jones. And I think that is the key difference. So, Michael, do you want to conclude on The Devil and Miss Jones?
Yes, I will conclude on it. So overall, this film, I mean, it should be pointed out, it's also incredibly short, which means there just isn't as much to it. And I guess in that sense, I suppose when you think about how little time is dedicated to the plot, you kind of have to give it credit for efficiency. But actually, a lot of the thematic stuff, insofar as there is anything thematic, would have required more time in order to be properly fleshed out. And that's kind of all there is to say. It is interesting in a way, and kind of fun that there's even anything to say about it. But the big issue is that it's just not that sexy, Luke. And that's what we need in life, isn't it? I think. And I think that's just palpably absent. So with that said,
I watch porn movies for the themes.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah, we all like a good theme, but it's just sad. Anyway, with that said, I don't know. I guess I'll give it 3. No, okay. A low 3. I'm gonna give it a low 3.
All right, I'm just gonna give it a 4 out of 10, which is similar to another movie, which we did this year, featuring themes about God. Well, not really themes, just like. I guess window dressing again about God, which is of course Daredevil. It's like, it's got imagery, like heavy-handed Christian imagery, that movie, which doesn't really say a lot, and this is kind of similar. 4 out of 10 for both. And yeah, maybe the fact that it's only an hour plays into that as well. It's like done relatively quickly. But yeah, I think. Well, by the way, I'm just gonna read what Roger Ebert had to say. Of course.
Oh yeah,
the most
Mr.
famous.
Ebert.
Yeah, the most famous film critic ever. And he says he gave Deep Throat a no stars rating, but described The Devil in Miss Jones as the best of the genre he had seen and gave it 3 stars out of 4. He wrote that the high production values, or relatively high production, and storytelling were partly the reason for his positive review, but that Spelvin's performance was the main draw. She is not only the best, but possibly the only actress in the hardcore field. By that I mean when she's on screen, her body and actions aren't the only reasons we're watching her. Alone among porno stars, she never seemed exploited. There we go. She was the star of her day, Georgina Spelvin. She was the only actual actress in porn movies, according to Roger Ebert. And yeah, maybe I would say that's probably fair. Yeah, certainly. And yeah, of course, she did not seem exploited, and maybe that was the key to her performance. But yeah, I agree with him. Like, Deep Throat is like awful compared to this. There is something here. There is something mildly, interesting here. Yeah, so just a tiny bit interesting, which means that it's a 4 out of 10 for me. And Charlie Chaplin, I'll just finish on this. On the LA Times, wrote the film left him at a loss to know how to review. It has a cinematic proficiency Deep Throat lacks. Again, absolutely true. And it also has pretensions to a plot. Again, that's true. But the plot is still a wraparound for the gymnastics. And yeah, again, that's fair. Like, at the end of the day, why it can't, 4 out of 10 is still a relatively poor rating. It is still all about, how can we get people to jack off to this. But even then, I think, the scenes aren't that jack-offable too. Again, yeah. I don't know if there's a better word than that to use, but, I'm using it, so whatever. You could argue that, hey, the fact that these scenes are more artistic and interesting, and therefore people are less likely to jack off to them, that means that, the film is putting the art before the actual porn. But at the end of the day, like, the reason people go to see it and the reason why this movie exists and the director's intentions is to make like a porn film first and foremost. So yeah, it can't be that high. And that's the thing. This is probably the best ever. Like, it's more funnier looking at Deep Throat, like considering like porno chic as a genre. But this again is probably the best of porno chic, and it's still like very bad. 4 out of 10 is not a good rating, so yeah, it's just funny to look back on. But anyway, Michael, that's our review of The Devil and Miss Jones. Maybe we'll one day review Behind the Green Door or whatever, but now let's get on to looking at the Rotten Tomatoes score for Oppenheimer. Of course, we guessed what we thought it was going to get on Rotten Tomatoes. Do you remember what you guessed, Michael?
Oh God, I guess like 95 or something?
Yes, you guessed 95, I guessed 92. It right now is 93. So,
ooh, okay, so it's like slightly closer. Damn you.
Yeah. Yes, and interestingly, we also predicted Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which I haven't got right now, but we'll do it next time. But yeah, basically, I gained like a couple of points on you. But yeah, it's
got to switch around.
Well, yeah, I gain actually 1 point on you. Not even a couple. Yeah. So yeah, there's no difference. Anyway, what are we reviewing next time, Michael?
Well, next week we're reviewing a great film called Gigli.
Yes.
With the Ben Affleck and J-Lo one.
Yeah, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, of course, are back together 20 years after that movie came out.
Yeah, and that's, of course, what we're celebrating.
Yes, the 20-year anniversary of Gigli. So join us for that. Will it be better than The Devil and Miss Jones? That is the question. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
I've been Luke, and thanks for listening to our review of The Devil in Miss Jones. Yes, goodbye.
Goodbye.